Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Indie Comics Review. This is the show where every week I review 3 indie comic books. If that's the kind of content you find interesting, be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Let's get started. This week, the first book is going to be Duel, and this is written by Curtis Martins and is drawn by Alex Cormack, and it's on the Bliss on Tap label, Bliss on Tap Publications, I should say. Are you ready to duel? In the first issue, we meet an FBI agent tasked with investigating the mysterious deep website Duel.global, which pits its growing number of subscribers against each other in real life in a race to stop a high schooler who has challenged the site's highest-ranked dueler in a match to the death. Yeah, that's a pretty concise description of what this is about. This is just a perfect thing for a society like ours that has become very gun obsessed, and where gun fetishes is just, I guess, looked at as just the norm. You know, it's just a thing. If it's as American as apple pie, pretty much. So this almost seems like the next logical step for such a society. It's a very kind of visionary writing here. The story revolves around this kid, and this kid's his last name is Gurley, or they tease him a lot about his name, and they show him all through school getting picked on, not saying a word. You know, he's getting bullied the whole time, but he doesn't fight back. And one day they find out that someone has challenged like the biggest, baddest dueler in the world, I guess, because he's had over 80 successful duels. Because, you know, you don't, once you lose, that's it. There's no, like, you know, there's nobody that's 80-2 or 80-1. You know, once you lose, that's it. But this guy's never lost, and his name is Aaron Burr. So Aaron Burr is going to be dueling against this kid. The thing is, you have to register the duel weeks in advance, and everyone knows about it. So you have a certain amount of time where you can back down. So this kid has challenged the champion to a duel, and everyone knows about it because usually people have an alias, because Aaron Burr is obviously not Aaron Burr's real name, but you have to register online, and the FBI keeps track of who registers for these duels. And they figure out that someone has registered for this duel against Aaron Burr, who was a high school teenager. And the FBI agent is sent to investigate this straight away. The kid is all the while denying that he is actually the person who has registered for this duel, who has set up this duel. His parents also deny it. And it's kind of and they spend the whole issue pretty much just denying the fact that he challenged the champion to a duel. And so the FBI agents begin doubting themselves. They think that maybe the parents are lying, maybe the kid is lying. But the day for the duel approaches, and no one backs down. And the kid doesn't conform or deny if he is in fact the person who has challenged Aaron Burr. All the while he's getting all this adulation, so he's no longer this persecuted kid who's getting bullied. Now he's starting to get like a lot of cred and a lot of attention from everybody. He's getting, girls are paying attention to him. So I guess one of those times where any attention is good attention, and you can't really tell if he really set this up this way or is it really someone else. There's an instance where Aaron Burr actually pays a visit to the kid, because the rules are either you follow through with the duel or someone will assassinate you once you pass the point of no return, where you miss the cutoff where you can back down. Now, if the duel doesn't take place, both participants will be assassinated. I'd like to know who does the assassinating when that comes to happen, but we don't have that explained in this issue. So anyway, the date for the duel is approaching, and we don't know for sure if the kid is going to fight Aaron Burr or not. In the beginning, we see Burr defend his title pretty much seamlessly in the first few pages. It's pretty brutal to watch. I love the way that the story begins with a bang, no pun intended, and you really see how it's almost like a bizarro future come to life. I could absolutely see this being a real thing. It's almost like Fight Club to the extreme. There's no backing down from this. It's kind of brilliant, really. Martin's writes it beautifully. It's something that could easily be hacked up, but he covers a lot of the bases, and a lot of stuff makes sense. And then you would really believe that this could be a thing, that this actual art of dueling, a modern day version of what used to be the way that men would defend their honor. So I can see a macho obsessed society all of a sudden moving on to this, and since it's a consensual thing, they're really not. They don't have a way to persecute, or I should say to prosecute people who are successful in their duels, because the participants both signed up for it, and and they claim it's like there's a national stand your ground, or there's a self-defense kind of a defense that they all take, and they always get off. So the authorities are powerless to stop these dueling. This is really a good book. I first heard about it from Gem Comics. He's got he's probably one of the most well-known pontificators in the comics industry. This guy tells you about something, then you probably should pay attention to it. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's kind of like Bad Idea. I'm not sure if more books are to come from this publishing company, from Bliss on Tap, but this is a really interesting way for them to just come onto the scene. The book was super hard to come by. I had to buy a copy on eBay at a somewhat inflated price, but it's really worth a read if you can pick it up. This is what I love about comics, is this is the kind of thing that the medium can do. We can have fresh ideas like this. I mean, the capes are nice and all that, but ideas like this that examine society and the things that society does, and maybe even where society is headed. It's a very smart book, very smartly written, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. I don't want to give away anything about what happens at the end, but it looks like it could be it could be either a one shot, or it could be an ongoing series. It could go either way. If it becomes an ongoing series, it's just the sky's the limit. There's no telling what you can do with this, because the concept is very original. One of the most original concepts I've seen in an indie comic book in a long time. You can find Duel somewhere and not pay too much for it. Definitely check it out. It is worth a read. The next book is Life Zero, #1, and it is written by Stefano Viette and drawn by Marco Cicchetto, and it is on the Ablaze Comics label. Where were you when the cloud arrived? Where were you when the world changed forever? Where were you when people started dying? That's a very simple description. It could be very vague. And one trope that's been used, maybe even overused a lot in comics, is the zombie apocalypse. This is another zombie apocalypse, another variation on that theme. And there's some good things about it, and there's some questions I have about it. It begins with this guy. He's like, they call him the captain. I forget his name, but he's the captain of this commando squad, and this commando squad is trying to break him out of prison, and he happened to be in prison during the zombie apocalypse, when this cloud just descended on the city, and I imagine maybe on the entire world, but they don't expand on that, but it's at least on this city, but it was never explained as to really why he's in prison. They hint toward it. They don't really say why he's there. And also, why do they think that he will himself not be affected by the zombie making cloud that's affecting most of the city? So they're all wearing gas masks, and they're being helicoptered into the prison, which is now lousy with zombies. So they land in the yard. They attempt to break out the captain. I won't elaborate on how that goes from there, but that's the mission. That's the mission, to break the captain out. And there's a scene in the beginning of the book where there's a woman walking into what looks like a video store or something called Headshot, or maybe it's some kind of a photography place or something like that. And it's like maybe a 3-page spread where she's walking through the zombie-filled streets into the shop, and we don't see her again. And then we cut to the commandos breaking out the captain. So we get some unanswered things in there. There's some good stuff. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like there could be, it was a little abrupt ending for me. I feel like if the story was shorter than it could be, they could have answered a lot more questions. But there was a 7-page preview of Animal Castle in the back, so that took up some space in the book. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I don't know, I liked it enough to find out more about what's happening in the next issue. Hopefully there's no previews in the back that will cut into story time as far as that goes. But I'll see where it goes. I think it's maybe worth a look. If it's something you want to try out for the month. If your budget is too tight and you don't want to look at another zombie apocalypse comic book, I totally understand. But I think give it a shot. I think give it a shot, because Blaze has some good titles out there now. They're doing some good things in comics. So I'll give it another look. So it's definitely on the one more book list for me. Not sure if it's a limited series or if it's ongoing, but there's a lot of unanswered questions, but then it's a pretty decent story as well as is. So it piques my interest, but it leaves questions. So the jury is still out, but I think worth another shot. Last book is the Geiger 80-page giant. Geiger is written by Jeff Johns. It's written and created by Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. But this 80-page giant is written and drawn by many artists, a veritable host of artists and writers, and it is on the Image label. Who is Redcoat? Where did he find Barney? Tales of the Unknown War. Prey. The Karloff. Ursa. Goldbeards. Public Enemy #1. Re-entry. What about the Shooting Star? Mad Ghost Comics presents a monstrous 80 pages of all new stories featuring Geiger, as well as his allies and enemies. First, in an extra-sized lead story, Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch introduce the mysterious man known as Redcoat and reveal his bizarre ties to the American Revolution, the Unknown War, and Geiger himself. Then discover the secrets of the warlords of Las Vegas, Bonnie Borden, Goldbeard, Mr. Karloff, and more. In a series of tales written and drawn by some of the greatest artists and writers of today. Plus, the special origin tale of Geiger's favorite two-headed dog, Barney, and a preview of Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's new upcoming series, Junkyard Joe. I had to give some love to Geiger. This 80-page giant was really anticipated by a lot of people, myself included. It had been delayed a few weeks, pushed back. I was just anxious for it to come out. There's so many good things in this book. Not all of the stories are great, but there are some good ones in there. And there are some, there's a first appearance, and there are some clues as to what's going to be happening in the future of the Geiger verse. The first one is the Redcoat. Redcoat is, I can see that being really a big thing. Redcoat is this character who died in the Revolutionary War, in the Revolutionary War, and he is immortal. How he became immortal is not fully explained, but you see his first real appearance in the first story in the book, and it's one of the best stories in that book. You talk a lot about how he was with George Washington in the back end. A lot of stuff comes to play with George Washington and his attachment with the Masons, with the Freemasons. They're going to take a really nice kind of a twist on that. I can see that being a really cool thing. There's this other character which we know about called Junkyard Joe. Junkyard Joe is going to have, as it said, its own. I don't know, it's probably going to have its own, I guess, standalone series, and that's Gary Frank's going to be drawing that one. Jeff Johns will be writing it. And there's a Junkyard Joe comic strip at the back of the book, and he credits the cartoonist's name as Maury Muddy Davis, and I wonder if that's like a nod to Maury Turner. Maury Turner was a cartoonist who had a strip called We Pals, and We Pals was the first fully integrated syndicated comic strip. You can look at the style of Junkyard Joe, and it's reminiscent of We Pals, Maury Turner's kind of a style. And I would be curious if that's who Jeff Johns was kind of like throwing a little bit of a nod toward Maury and giving him some shine because of his hard work in the cartoon industry. I feel like that's what Junkyard Joe is. The comic strip, at least, is somewhat based on that. But I'm thinking Junkyard Joe will be more of a live action thing, and the comic strip is just kind of a one-off, kind of a nod maybe to Maury Turner. We see a story in flashback where Geiger meets Barney, and it's a cool circumstance where that happens, and how he had read all the books that he owned, and he was looking for more books in his library, and Barney was in this library where the books were. That's a nice story. It's the story of Bonnie Borden. Bonnie Borden is like this gun moll, this gangster, and the whole theme of her casino is like 30s gangsters. It's this very, very cool world this Geiger universe is. It's kind of a apocalyptic world that's devolved into other realities. There's Karloff's, which is just this horrific place where people who are just beyond hope and who have lost all hope, I should say, they bet limbs, and they get arms and legs chopped off and things like that. And it's just this horrific, just barbaric, monstrous situation where all the characters behind the scenes are literally like monsters. And there's a story of Safari Bob. Safari Bob, he was taken in by this other guy who was his predecessor, Safari Bill. Safari Bob is a place where people go to hunt human beings, the rich and bored people who are just the thrill seekers who, in this apocalyptic world, these people still exist. So that they take that sport to the extreme, and Safari Bill fills that role for them. So many possibilities with this Geigerverse. I really hope that this pans out. I can't wait for Junkyard Joe to see which way he goes with that. And maybe even Geiger will come back at some point. Who knows? You're never dead in the comic strips, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But this was really a good book that I was looking forward to, and I'm glad I got a chance to talk about that and read this book, and I look forward to anything else coming from this Geiger universe. I am 100% down with that. So that is all for this Indie Comics review. I'll be doing between now and the next review, I'm going to be putting out an all RS Alley review of the books that some people have sent me. So I'm going to be doing that between now and probably the haul video next Wednesday. So look out for that. That should be sometime soon. So until next time, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn notifications on so you know when I'm making another video. So until next time, see you guys in the funny papers. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.